So to create a Gaboogie conference, we navigate to the Create Conference area within the Gaboogie Dashboard. And the first thing we do is give the conference a name. So in this case, I'm going to call it Gaboogie Test Conference. Now, the application gives me the choice of setting up what we call a scheduled conference, which is exactly what it sounds. It's a conference that has a date and a start time associated with it, or an on-demand conference. And an on-demand conference allows you to create a Gaboogie conference without a start time or a date. And you can simply initiate that conference at any time by using the Start Now button on the welcome page. But in this case, I'm going to go through the steps of setting up a scheduled conference. So the first thing I do is select a date, and I'm going to select Wednesday, May 2nd, and a start time. And we use 24-hour clocks. That's just something to keep in mind when you're booking a conference. So I'm going to set this up for 12 noon on Wednesday, May 2nd. So what this means is that at that time, Gaboogie will automatically call me and everybody else who's supposed to be on the call and create the conference call. Now I also can enter in a duration for the call. The default duration is 60 minutes, and the duration is a field that in most cases you don't actually need to worry about, because Gaboogie by default will simply continue your call even after the duration has expired. So even if I set up 60 minutes as the duration and the call goes on for 90 minutes, the call will continue without any interruption. The field that is important here is the time zone field, and it's important that you have the correct time zone selected, otherwise the Gaboogie application may not call you at the time you expect. So in this case, I'm in the Pacific time zone, so everything is fine. But if I want to edit the time zone, I simply click this link here, and it'll expose the list of time zones. I select which one I want, click Save, and the time zone will update. If I have a regular meeting that repeats, for example on a weekly basis, I can use the recurring conference option from this menu here and simply select weekly as the repeat frequency, select which day I'd like the conference to repeat on, and then select the end time for when I'd like the conference to stop repeating. And that's useful if you have a project that has a specific duration where you need to have a weekly meeting with everybody on that team, or if you have something like a weekly management call and you don't want to go through the steps of setting up that conference individually on a weekly basis. But in this case, I'm going to skip the repeating option and just go on to the process of adding some attendees to my call. So when I'm adding attendees, I have the choice of using what we call Fast Add or using the phone book. Fast Add allows me to enter in the details of somebody who isn't in my phone book and quickly add them to the call, and the phone book is simply the list of contact records that I have already included in my account, and I can simply drag those records from the phone book into the call. So in this case, I'm going to take 2 entries from the phone book, drop them into the conference attendees window. You'll see that the number of attendees updates there to reflect the attendees I've added, and I'm also going to fast add somebody just like this. Enter in first name, last name, email address, and 1 phone number. And those are the only fields that you need to complete in order to do that. There we go. And now the final step is simply to click Save, and that'll save the conference, take me back to the welcome page, and at that point I can initiate the conference directly from the welcome page, or I can wait until the scheduled time and the conference will happen automatically. The other option is Save and Add Another, and that allows you to create multiple conferences without constantly having to navigate back to this page. If I click Save and Add Another, it'll save this conference, blank out the fields on this page, and let me start again in terms of creating another conference. But in this case, I'm just going to click Save. And we're back at the welcome page, and Gaboogie Test Conference is showing up here with the date and time I selected, and we're done creating a conference.